Cool. Hello. Welcome to Amped for Women. I'm Mary Rogers.
I'm
You
Amy
are?
Simo.
Hey, Amped is Amy and Mary podcast. We like to have conversations around women's wellness. We both work in the industry. If you've tuned into some of our other episodes, you've kind of gotten a background about what we do. If not, and it's your first one, welcome. And I'm a personal trainer. I met Amy through the personal trainer space. And Amy, what do you do?
I am a also a personal trainer and a nutritional therapy practitioner.
Yeah.
So all things health and wellness.
Yeah. So we have started a little later in life, and we have some unique opinions, and we like to talk about it because we know that other people are looking for similar conversations. So today we both just got back from vacations, and we just kind of want to talk about where we're at, what we're struggling with, and just kind of catch up. So Amy, you just got back from Chicago
I
shortly after
did.
your honeymoon too. So tell me about those.
Yeah, we got back. Actually, I was thinking we got back from our honeymoon a month ago today. And then
Wow.
3 weeks later, we went to Chicago. So we got back from Chicago, 3 or 4 days ago. We were only there for 4 or 5 days. So, visiting friends, but it was Corey's first time, my husband. It was his first time in Chicago. So we did all the touristy stuff. We bought a city pass and did all of the things that you could fit into that time frame anyway. So
Yeah.
it was a lot. We did a lot of walking. He said on his phone it tracked like, oh, I forget exactly what he said, but like maybe 20 something miles or 30 something miles that we walked. I don't know
Cool.
how accurate that is, but I mean, it could be. We walked a lot, around the
Yeah.
museums and stuff, but I love Chicago. Chicago is one of my favorite places. I've probably been 6 or 7 times now and have some friends that live out there now. So, should be a regular visit from now on.
That's cool. I lived in
Yeah.
Chicago for a brief period of time when I
Yeah.
was very young, 18 and 19. So where did you guys stay?
We stayed with my friend who lives in Pilsen,
Okay.
right outside of downtown, I guess. I guess right outside of downtown. It's like a little south of downtown. So it was like 10-minute bus ride into the city. So super
Okay.
close. Yeah.
So you say downtown, you mean like Michigan Avenue by like Navy Pier and all that kind of stuff, or where?
So she lives, it's like south of the main part of the city. So I think of like
Yeah.
the Michigan Avenue, like where Cloudgate is,
That's your
the beam and
downtown?
all that.
Yeah.
That's what I assume is downtown. But
Me
she
too.
lives south of there. I don't know how to explain
Okay.
it with landmarks,
Yeah.
but yeah, a little bit south. But it's super close. So taking the bus is really easy to get into all of the touristy areas. And that's all we did. So next time we go, we want to explore more of the different neighborhoods and stuff. We stopped in Chinatown just on our way to get to somewhere else. We went over there July 4th morning actually.
Oh,
And
cool.
everything was kind of shut down. There was nobody out there, walked a little bit and then got on the train and went to Wrigleyville. But yeah, so
I
that's it.
spent a lot of time hanging out in Wrigleyville when I lived there. That was a fun time.
Yeah,
And that
it's fun.
year, the Cubs won the World Series. So that was like a huge party.
Oh, when you live there?
Yeah, yeah. That was
Oh,
in so I lived there in 2003 and 2004. So it's been 20 years, which is crazy.
it's
I can't
fun.
believe that.
Yeah,
That
it's
long.
fun. Chicago's fun. It's a good
Yeah.
it's not super crazy. It's a big city, but it's like pretty easy to get around.
Yeah.
It's semi quiet. I mean, what you would expect for, a city. It's not like super noisy. It's not like New York. And it's
Yeah.
clean. It's pretty clean. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That sounds like you guys had a good time.
And you were in Nashville.
I was in Nashville. I was visiting my sister. We laid pretty low. She doesn't like to go out a whole lot, which was fine. I was happy to kind of just lounge around and be in the pool all of the days. We did go out shopping a little bit, but my husband Mitch wasn't able to come. So next time I like when he comes because then we can explore a little bit more,
Hmm.
do all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, it was just
Yeah.
kind of a relaxing restorative time with lots of laughs. And I was really excited to get back to work,
Mhm.
which, is like a good sign, right? Because I've
Yeah.
definitely had vacations where I had like the Sunday scaries um, leading up
That's
to my
like
return.
every
Yeah.
vacation. Every vacation for me. I was actually saying, I think after the honeymoon, we did 10 days in Punta Cana for the honeymoon. And when we came back, that was probably the easiest transition I've ever had
Oh,
into like leaving, coming home from vacation and then getting back into work. I think it was a long trip too. So we were kind of ready to get home. Um,
yeah.
but that week was like, it was probably the smoothest transition I had from vacation back into life. And then I kind of went on a downward spiral after that, but that week
Yeah.
was fine.
I think there's something to that. Like if you have a vacation that's long enough, then you get your restoration and you're excited to get back to the routine. But maybe those other times I had a couple other factors at play, like maybe it wasn't long enough for the amount of stress I was under. Maybe I didn't really like what I was going back
Relax.
to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
combo of things. But yeah, I came back and went, that first week was fine. And then I think a few things kind of happened and just led me on a kind of a little bit of an emotional roller coaster ride and kind of downward turmoil. So I've been on a little bit of a summer lull, I think. I'm used to I've used to dealing with anxiety and depression and like having those moments. So at this point, I think I know like when I'm in it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come out of it eventually. So you just kind of do what you need to do to get through the day to day. And like some days I really did the bare minimum. Some days I was laying on the couch, and some days I could do a little bit more. But um, it, you know that at some point you're gonna come out the other end, right? So like
yeah,
I kind of went down, was holding steady, and I think I'm starting to now come out the other side. Like I'm starting to see some light on the other side. Things are kind of picking up a little bit. It was just like kind of a bunch of not bad news, but just several things happened back to back to back that just was like, oh, what am I doing? Like I went into this like existential life crisis and like, where's my life going? What am I doing with my life? And so now it's starting to come back around. Like you're figuring it out. I'm figuring it out now. So all
yeah.
good. But that's been my summer really. Honeymoon, traveling and emotional turmoil. So it's like
Yay for summer.
the up and the down.
Yeah, that's so relatable. I feel that a lot. And I mean, like I'm going through that too with my transition. It's, yeah, it's rough. But like I was thinking today when I was doing my morning writing and I was writing this down, and I'm grateful for those times where I feel like stuck or bogged down because with the wisdom that I have now of going through these periods in my life, I like that kind of drives me. Like that
Yeah.
kind of gives me the push and the motivation to take action. So I was feeling that this morning. And so, after a couple of minutes of like leaning into it, it helps drive me. So
Yeah.
I'm feel you right there. And also I feel like summers down here are difficult. Like coming from the north, the seasonal depression, the seasonal affective disorder, that happens for us in the winter, and it's like a long winter. And the last few summers, I've realized like that really kicks in the middle of the summer down here because it's too hot to go outside. What can you do without spending a whole lot of money? I mean, there's not a whole lot. Like you just kind of
That's
got to hole
yeah.
up for a little
Yeah.
while,
I
you
feel that
know?
right now too, because especially the traveling we've been doing, we're trying to set a tighter budget right now. Because well, my husband's a teacher, but I'm going through some transition, so I'm not necessarily bringing in as much income as I'm used to. So trying to just keep that in check and be mindful of it. I feel like I've always done really well of like scaling my spending up or down based on what's going on, but we're like really trying to be tight, and it's like, okay, well, we want to get outside. Like I want to do something. I want to get out the house, but I say that after we traveled for like 3 weeks, but want to get out the house, but like what can you do and not spend money? And it's like
Yeah.
100 degrees outside, so you don't want to
Yeah.
just like go sit in a park because it's so hot. So I've really been like challenging myself to look into like where can we, like what are some things that we don't normally think about, right?
Yeah.
That also aren't centered around like eating or drinking, like everywhere you
Yeah.
go, right? Do some things outside. Like it's fine to go out and eat and do that, but what are some other things that you can do that is just fun and doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg?
Yeah. I've been reading a lot lately, which is good. Um, but as far as like, yeah, trying to get active, sometimes we just can't until the evening because of like heat advisories and yeah. So I went from, it's too cold to go outside up north to
Mhm.
it's too hot to be outside. So you have to, like you said, get creative. So we've been trying to like in the morning as a family, get outside, get some sunlight in the morning. And then after dinner, we've been taking our family walks after dinner. So that's been like good family time. And it's been kind of nice in the evenings the last few weeks, which is great because last year nobody could go outside until like 9 p.m.
Mhm.
So that's been good. We've been trying to get our outdoor time and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, like
try to
those
get
are the
out.
normal things. Yeah.
Huh?
I was just gonna say, I feel like it's good that we're talking about it because I feel like everybody kind of goes through these things and there's nothing to be ashamed of and it's normal and it's like a normal process,
Yeah.
not meant to be
I was reading, sorry.
okay.
I was reading about seasonal what is it? Say it. Sad
Seasonal affective disorder. I call it the
Seasonal
big
affective
sad.
dis I was going to say something else. Seasonal affective disorder. Yeah, I was reading about it recently, and just like you're saying, I think most of people, and maybe this is just coming from the South. I'm from here, so I'm from the South. I've always been here, but um, you think about it as a winter thing
Yeah.
because it's like cold, it's shorter days, so it's maybe a little bit gloomier outside. And reading about it recently spoke to like some people experience it in the winter and some people experience it in the summer. So it's one of those things that it just depends on the person. For people who experience it, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I experience it to that effect, but I had noticed. So I, used to work in an office, and I noticed once I was no longer working in an office, instead I'm working at home now, when it's raining outside, I those days I tend to be kind of experience that, I guess. I tend to be, down a little bit, or just, in a little bit more moody, or just feel kind of out of
Sure.
sorts. And I, so I noticed that on days that it's raining, I'm assuming because it's overcast, it's a little bit darker. And I said, wow, I think it's because I was used to being in an office and being inside all day, that it didn't always have windows near me. Like I could see windows, but they weren't always next to my desk, right? So I wasn't as affected by what was going on outside because I was just used to being inside. So I didn't realize how much it actually did affect me until I started working from home, and I was like sitting next to a window all day, every day, and I could, had the sunlight or had the overcast or whatever was going on outside.
Yeah.
So I've definitely noticed it just from a mood changing perspective when it's, one day it's cloudy, or one day it's sunny, or one day it's rainy, how that affects me.
You know what is so funny about that is that in the summers here, I have more energy when it's stormy and rainy because I I have this like maybe it's because I'm from this cold weather place where my seasonal affective disorder, yeah, occurred in the winter time
Hmm.
and the winters were so long. And then I come down here and all I want to do is drink up all of this warm weather and all of this sunlight. But when it's so hot that we can't go outside, there's like a little bit of sadness around that. Like I can't enjoy it. And then like we were talking about what can we do where we're not spending, hundreds of dollars every day trying to entertain ourselves. And then I feel guilty like being in the house. And then when it's storming outside, then I'm like, I can be productive. I have nowhere to be but in the house. I'm going to clean a closet. I'm going to play a board game. I'm going to do all of these things. So it's really interesting. Like sometimes the rain for me in the summertime is like what drives me, but it's opposite in the winter.
Yeah,
Then it's like
that's
really gloomy.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I
Super
read a book
interesting.
one time
It makes sense
too
though.
about,
It does make sense.
right? I read a book. I think it's called Mind Wide Open. So if anyone's read that book, check it out, or if you haven't, check it out. So this guy was talking about after experiencing 9/11, he's a New Yorker, And now anytime there's like this beautiful morning, he gets really anxious because it occurred on this beautiful fall
Oh, yeah.
morning. And so he still to this, or at the time when he wrote the book, which was probably 10 years ago, um, he would get anxious on those really, really gorgeous mornings.
Yeah.
And so, I think it depends on a lot of factors in our life, but weather definitely affects us.
Everybody has a trigger. Everybody has a trauma
Yeah.
associated with something and
Yeah.
something that triggers that unconscious trauma. So that's just something to bear in mind.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do when those blues kick in?
I've been okay, last week we were in Chicago, so it was the 2 weeks before that. But I do the bare minimum of what I say I have to do, like work, right? So I've been kind of slow at work, which has been good. Although I think if I would have been busier, it probably would have been a little bit easier. But so okay, what are the projects that I have to do this week? So I'm a freelance marketing for anybody who doesn't know. So I have marketing clients that I do work for on a regular basis. So I look at what is on my list to do, what's on my schedule or on my project list, and I do the bare minimum of what has to be done today, or what has to be done this week. And if there's nothing that has to be done today, and I am kind of in a like blah, can't think mood, which I think you learn to recognize over time as you kind of deal with it. You understand like my brain isn't functioning right now, or it's not a good time for me to do this, especially me being in the creative space. Like if my brain's not firing, like I'm not going to be creative. So I try to use my creativity, try to do those things when my brain is working for it. But bare minimum, and then I just try to decide what I need in that moment. So, like, what's going to make me feel good? Is it sitting on the couch, watching a show? Is it reading? Is it cleaning or organizing? Sometimes, I'll pick up and do something around the house that I've been wanting to do. I actually went through my closet and kind of semi cleaned out my closet. I organized my
Such a good
dresser,
feeling. Oh,
like
yeah.
folded my clothes all neatly because they had gotten, I mean, over the past, year and a half wedding planning, my closet was like a mess and my dresser, like all the stuff was just shoved in there. And I'm a semi neat person. I'm type A, but I'm not like, I think overly OCD about it, but like all my drawers were just kind of like a mess. I had started getting to the point where I was just shoving things in them, and I was like, no, these things need to be folded. So I started folding, and it was just like mindless. It's mindless activity. So the things that you can do without having to put too much thought or effort into it, um, or too much like mental energy into it. Those
Yeah.
are the things that I do. So,
That's
minimal,
great.
minimal have tos. Find the things that I want to do in the moment, or if I don't know what to do, kind of walk around and look for like, what can I do right now? If I need to be moving, what can I do right now that doesn't require me to think about it? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What
it's
about
great.
you?
Um, I stretch. Like I'll move my body in some way. I'll try to stretch. Maybe a walk feels good. Um, if there is a task that I'm putting off, then I'll just try to tackle that task. Like sometimes the stress will be because I'm trying to do these other tasks before I do this one big task that I need to get done, right? I'm procrastinating essentially.
Right.
So I try to take a look at that. I drink some water, um, or I'll try to like organize something. So I'll try to move, drink some water, or like have something healthy to eat to make sure I'm getting nutrients. So yeah, I try to do those same things. And on days where I can feel it's like depression and blues, then I do the same thing. Like I make sure I'm showered. I put on clean clothes, an outfit that doesn't make me feel disgusting, like something that makes me feel good. I don't need to dress up, just like, maybe a shirt that I
Hmm.
always feel good in or whatever. Um, Making sure that I'm, like you said, just kind of doing the bare minimum of taking care of myself. And after all of that, if I'm still exhausted or if I feel like achy in my limbs, I'm like, you know what? I need a nap. So I just try to listen to my body, but stretching and moving in like some small way really kind of helps motivate me.
Yeah.
And then I've been trying to do a lot lately is over the past year is like a sense of lightness. So making sure that there's room for laughter throughout my day, um, finding the humor in silly things, and just trying to make a kind of light environment for me and my family. And that helps too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so those are all good points that I didn't touch on, but like routine, anything that is like routine is really important in like the things that don't like I move every day too. I try to move even if it's just go for a walk. But
Yeah.
I usually get up and I do my movement, whatever that looks like first thing. Whether it's like a strength workout or yoga or something like that. I've been going to Hot Works, which being in the sauna is kicking my butt, by the way. A little bit more
Nice.
than I thought it would, but I guess I've never actually worked out in a sauna before. So yeah, I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I enjoy having that option. Um, but yeah, getting up and moving and kind of sticking, that's like the base of my routine. And then from there, however the day turns out is how it turns out. And I think really what you kind of touched on is like doing the things that I think there's a difference for me of okay, is it like am I distressed or anxious about something like because I'm procrastinating on something that I'm worried about, or am I like feeling really down? And so like I've
Yeah.
been feeling down, but yeah, procrastinating on things, I've learned to like okay, this is I'm feeling anxious because I know I need to get this done. And for some reason, whatever reason, I'm worried about it. So just doing something related to it usually gets me started and then it's fine. So whether
Yeah.
it's like if I have to like write something, opening up a Word document and just putting words down or putting some kind of bullet list down or whatever, like usually I'll end up doing the whole thing, but that at least
Yeah.
is like, okay, I put some effort toward it and it's not as overwhelming because there's something that's started or some process, some piece of it is complete. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's been something I've been learning, as well as you touched on like um being uh not self-aware, but being experiencing the moment, like being in the moment, right? That's something I've been working on for probably the past couple of years is being able to relax in the moment. And I think a lot of people are chronically stressed and
Yeah.
that's when you know that you are stressed if you sit down and relax and you cannot relax.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's bad. And so trying to understand how to turn it off, like be able to sit in those moments and breathe and accept it and learning how to, create those work-life boundaries and um have more awareness of my day to day and be able to enjoy those moments, like enjoy times away from work and the time that I'm spending with those people um
Yeah.
so that yeah, so that I'm getting enjoyment out of it, not just feeling anxious that I should be doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. It kind of leads to also sometimes the answer is just to feel it, right?
Yes.
Like sometimes just lean into it. You know what?
Yeah.
There's no other answer right now but
Practice.
for me to sit down and just be
Yeah.
sad
You
and
have
just
to.
feel these blues and lean into it because I know this is going to transition at some point. That feeling isn't going to stay there forever, just like happiness isn't going to stay there forever. And so when I am happy, I'm going to enjoy it and be so grateful and drink in every moment of it. And so when I'm feeling stressed or depressed, I know that that's going to pass too, you know? Yeah, being present in the moment. I think I talked about this one time, but my therapist suggested that I try meditation way, way early on when we first started meeting. And I was under the impression that I already knew how to do that. And I tried some guided meditation. I actually tried the Calm app, and that one really worked for me. And through the guided meditations, I realized I didn't really know how to do that. And it taught me a lot of principles like just being in the moment and
Yeah.
understanding that whatever moment I'm in is going to pass. So either be grateful for it or find solace in the fact that it won't be this uncomfortable forever.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was really, really helpful. And another thing I wanted to say that I do when I'm feeling either sad or depressed, or anxious, or a combination of those, is I tend to sit down and make plans. And making a plan of action is really helpful for me too, because it gives me something to work on. Sometimes when I feel these blues, especially the seasonal blues, it's because I feel kind of stagnant,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
And so making plans, that can be really helpful. But yeah, sometimes the answer is to just be in it, just allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah.
And there's comfort in that, like
Well,
it's okay. I don't have to try to fix it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we met at the coffee shop a couple of weeks ago. We had coffee between trips. And that day, that's exactly what it was. Like I felt like stuck, right? Like where am I going? What's happening? Is this working? Am I moving in the right direction? And so the only thing that I felt like I could do was sit there and make a list and write
Yeah.
down thoughts, like brainstorm, like ideas, like, okay, what do I do if this happens? What do I do if that happens? What are potential things that I can do, this or that? Um, but yeah, I think it's, as far as experiencing it, a lot of times, at least I felt like this before, like you try to run from it when you
Yeah.
start feeling those feelings or you feel down, you try to run from it or make it go away, like do something, like what can I do to just stop it? And it for me, I realize now how that just created even more
Yeah.
anxiety and more, like that's the thing I've talked about before, that like paralyzed anxiety where I was laying on my couch staring at my ceiling because I couldn't even turn the TV on. Like the thought of like watching something on TV was too overwhelming. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until I started just kind of taking a step back and again doing what was necessary and then allowing myself to just like take a breath and find some kind of calm or just sit in that moment and let it pass. That is what helped me over the years learn to recognize it and understand that it would pass, because I
Yeah.
knew, okay, I sat in it before, so I could recognize this is what I've felt before. And then what happened last time? Well,
Yeah.
after a few days, I was back to normal or things went away, right? And of course this is, I think a very, what I would call depression light. But there are some people who need more, and that's fine too. Um,
Yep. That is
but
fine.
for me, it was being able to just sit in it, understand what was happening, understand what triggered it, what was going on, and then allowing myself to go through the process and come out the other side. Now I can recognize that and know that eventually I'm going to come out the other side, right?
Yeah, I think that was so great the way you said I've sat in this before, so I know how this goes. That's really important. And I think another thing too is I think those feelings scared me a lot of times because for a lot of my life I was kind of sent this message that something's wrong if I'm feeling those feelings. Maybe we're not supposed to be happy 100% of the time. Maybe
Yeah.
we are supposed to have these ups and downs. And I truly believe that it is healthy to feel the entire spectrum of all emotions, because sometimes those uncomfortable moments and those uncomfortable emotions are the exact things that we need to get us into action, or to give us perspective, or to prep us for when we truly are really grieving or going through something really, really deep. You
Mm.
know, if we're feeling the seasonal affective disorder, if we're feeling the stress, if we're feeling procrastination, if we're feeling that paralysis, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm.
Maybe that is part of the whole process and part of our whole story, part of our whole journey, and part of the step that we need to take.
Yeah.
So, but for a lot of us, we were given a lot of messages that those feelings are wrong and something must be wrong, or we must fix it or stop feeling that way if we do
Mhm.
experience those. And it's liberating to now understand that I don't believe that, that all of those are important feelings.
Or like the quotes from the old men, like, "Oh, you'd be so much prettier if you smiled." Like,
Oh,
life's not gonna make me smile every day, so
yeah. Some man actually told my 7-year-old daughter that in the airport when we were coming back, and
oh
I let
gosh.
him have it.
What did you
I let him
say?
have it. We were walking by and he and I smiled at each other. And so we said hello, because we made eye contact. And then he looked at her and he said, "Put a smile on your face, little lady." And I looked at her right in front of him. I said, "Don't let him or anybody else tell you that. You can have whatever look on your face that you want." I said, "That is very rude what he just said to you. You don't have to smile if you don't want to." And I went off and then we walked away and I kept going. And she's like, "Okay, mom, okay, okay."
Okay, I get it.
You don't
Well,
know what I'm
good.
going through.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Yeah.
smile every moment of every day. I don't have to feel happy every moment of every day. I'm a full working human being.
How do you know what happy truly feels like unless you feel truly sad sometimes too,
Beautiful, beautiful.
right?
You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
All right.
I know you're
We
ending
got
or
talk.
like nearing
Yeah,
our
we're kind of,
time.
so let's wrap up with what are last time we talked about, like, what are you watching? What are you reading?
Okay. So I just read, like just finished this morning, Julia Fox's book called Down the Drain. Whoa, what a tragic story, but it was like really captivating. Um,
Nonfiction
not yeah, it was her
or
memoir, and
memoir?
it was really something. What am I watching? My husband and I started Your Honor the other day, and it's very, very stressful, but pretty good. Um, and I haven't really been in the middle of anything else. Oh, I did finish Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte. Whew. Watch some Bridgerton if you need some spice in your life.
It's on my list. I haven't watched any of it yet though.
Oh my gosh, Amy, I like binged that show like I have not binged any show ever. I was like, there were times that Mitch was like, "I hear you gasping." I mean, like I was looking at the screen like it
What's
was good.
happening?
It was really good.
All right, it's on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay, I just finished, I was listening to an audiobook, Radical Candor, the book about being a better boss, which I'm like, I listened to the audiobook. I don't think I could have read it. I feel like it was really long, but I also was kind of like listening in passive because I think a lot of it applies to the corporate space. I believe that there's, as a solopreneur, there's things that I could get out of it, but I didn't feel like I
Yeah.
needed to really like dig in that deep. If I feel like I need it again, like because it's related to leadership and how to listen and give feedback and all of that, then I will probably read it again at some point down the line. But I listened to the audiobook because people keep talking about it, and I was like, I want to know what it's about. So I got the gist of what I needed out of it. And I am now on the third Harry Potter book. So I think I'm almost done. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through that one. So third Harry Potter, and then I might take a break from Harry Potter for a little while and read some other books that I've got. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm reading.
Oh,
And
that's
I think
great.
I've read like 4 other books since we last time we recorded, but I don't
I
even
have two.
I don't remember if
Yeah.
they're and then
I forgot about
watching
my rec. Sorry, keep going, keep going.
what
No, I forgot about my because the Julia Fox book was my recreational read. The other book that I
uh
was reading, you reminded me, is the like my informative read is the
uh,
Blue Ocean Strategy. So
okay,
that's what
interesting.
yeah, keep
We can
going.
talk about that one next time. And then watching, what am I watching? Would not really anything new. My husband and I are watching Shameless. So we just finished, I think, season 7, and we watched oh, I guess I tell you about the movie too. We watched a thousand no, The Man Who Had 1,000 Kids or something like that. It's like a documentary that
Oh,
came out on Netflix. So
watch
we
that
watched
too.
that. It was okay. I mean, all in all, it was okay, but it really makes you think at the end. It really makes you think about there's some things in the last, it's a limited series, so I think it's 3 episodes. In the
Yep.
last episode, they bring in a few other people that they talk about that it really makes you think about what these people were trying to do, like on a bigger scale. Anyway, I don't say anymore
Oh,
if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Maybe you'll
there
understand what I'm
needs to be
talking
some
about.
regulation with donation there. It's
Yeah.
really gross.
And we watched, so the other night there was a thunderstorm in the middle of the night. We have a dog that's scared of thunderstorms. He jumped in the bed, shaking the bed because he shakes really bad, woke us up after like an hour. Neither of us could go back to sleep. So we actually got up at 3:30 in the morning, got up and sat on the couch and made popcorn and got snacks and watched a movie. And I can't even remember what movie we watched now. It was okay. It wasn't like super great, but it was fine in the moment. And then we went back to sleep after that. But yeah.
I love those kind of moments. I think they're so special, the middle of the night moments.
It made for an exhausting next day, but we couldn't sleep anyway, so we figured we might as well get up. And I think we were both hungry, so we just
There
got
you
up
go.
and made
Worked
snacks.
out.
So, but we nourished
Well,
ourselves in bonding time. So
yeah, and that's just as important as everything
yes,
else.
absolutely.
So I know I'm about, after I sign off here, I'm about to work out with Mitchell, and because it was too hot for him to go on his run today. And then I'm going to do some stretching with the oldest because we worked out yesterday. I needed some movement, and she agreed to work out with me, and she needed it too, she said. So now she's sore. We're going to stretch after I do some couples workout with my husband. So
All
yeah,
right, that sounds like a plan.
yeah,
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up and we'll be back on next time. We don't know what we're going
yeah,
to talk about. Now we're just talking, so we're just
yeah,
having fun with
which
it.
is cool. Comment, let us know what you guys think, if
Yeah,
anyone's listening or watching.
absolutely. See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.